Imagine for a moment a religion with absolutely zero infrastructure.
Right.
And I don't mean like a startup cult in a basement. I mean zero. No temples, no scriptures you need to learn ancient Greek for, no priests.
And definitely no big distant god in the sky.
Exactly. Nothing between you and the divine.
It sounds kind of like a vacuum, doesn't
Yeah.
it? We're so used to thinking that religion is the building. It is the book.
Without the rules, what's left?
Exactly.
But today, we're looking at a philosophy that argues all that stuff, the buildings, the books. It's not just unnecessary, it's actually getting in the way.
It is.
We're digging into a set of sources that describe something called the religion of the heart. And look, before you think this is some, live, laugh, love, Pinterest board philosophy,
Which is a fair first reaction.
it is, but stick with us, because the source material here is surprisingly biological.
That's the perfect word for it. It completely removes the architecture of religion and it replaces it with biology and physics, a theology of anatomy, really.
So let's establish the baseline. When people say mother goddess or the heart, it's almost always a metaphor for, like, love or kindness.
Yes, it's symbolic.
But these sources are being literal, aren't they?
Extremely literal. And that's the core thesis we have to wrap our heads around for this deep dive. Here, the mother goddess isn't a person. She's not a statue.
She is.
The literal manifestation of the heart. And they don't mean a symbolic heart. They mean the actual rhythmic pulse that drives the entire universe.
So reality isn't run by some kind of CEO god making decisions.
No. It's run by a rhythm. The baseline reality is that the divine is a biological rhythmic pulse. It's a flow. It's inside you. It's in the dirt. It's everywhere.
So our mission today is to see what the world looks like when you just remove all the intermediaries.
No middleman.
Just you and the beat.
Hmm.
Which brings us right to this idea of divine physiology. This is where the sources really grab me. Because, most religions tell you to transcend the body.
Oh, yeah. Flesh is weak. The body's a cage. All of that.
We spend so much time trying to ignore our physical needs to be spiritual. But this just flips that completely upside down.
It does. It says the body isn't a cage. It's the temple. Specifically, the physical human heart.
Right.
The text actually says, every beat is her whisper, every pulse a message. It's reframing your own biology as theology.
So if you have a pulse, you're being spoken to.
Constantly. It's a continuous, rhythmic revelation that is literally keeping you alive.
But they go even further than that. They get into the messier parts of being human.
Oh, they certainly do. And that can be challenging for a modern reader. We live in a very sanitized world.
We do, because usually sweat and tears are things we just wipe away. They're waste products.
Right.
If I'm sweating, I need a shower. If I'm crying, I need a tissue. But the text frames them as what?
Sacred.
Liquid prayers.
Okay.
That's the phrase they use. The idea is that blood and breath, that's the intake, the fuel. But tears and sweat, that's the release.
A form of worship.
Divine energy physically moving through flesh. That is such a radical shift. If I'm sweating from hard work or crying because I'm heartbroken, I feel like I'm breaking down, like I'm failing at being a put-together human.
But here, that breakdown is actually a connection. I mean, think about the physics of it. When you are truly crying or sweating from exertion, your body is in this intense state. You're not thinking about your taxes.
No.
You are purely in the physical moment. This philosophy argues that is the prayer. The physical act of release is the connection.
It's so validating. It's like, if you're crying your eyes out, you're not failing at being spiritual. You're in the middle of a holy act.
It just removes all the shame from our basic biological functions. It says your body, just doing what a body does, is already holy.
Okay, let's zoom out. Because if the goddess is the heart, and my body is a mini version of that, then the earth has to be a body too.
It's a fractal. What is inside is also outside. So rivers aren't just water flowing to the sea. In this view, they're the veins, the flowing blood of the world.
Circulating life.
Just like your arteries. And the wind is the breath. The soil is the flesh. And the magma, the fire inside the earth.
The burning core.
The eternal warmth of creation. It paints this picture of a living organism that we are just living within.
My favorite image from this section was lightning. I always think of Zeus, an angry god throwing a bolt.
It's usually seen as judgment, yeah, aggressive.
But here, it's described as her heartbeat striking through the sky. It's an electrical pulse.
It creates this almost neural network image of the sky, doesn't it? Like a synapse firing in a giant brain. It changes a storm from something scary to a sign of vitality.
A defibrillator shock of life.
Exactly.
And speaking of strong pulses, we have to talk about the cosmos, because this heart idea, it doesn't stop at the atmosphere.
No, it goes galactic. The sun is the visible heart, obviously, pumping out energy. The moon is the reflective heart, guiding the tides. But the part that really surprised me was how they interpret black holes.
Oh, this was wild. Because usually black holes are the ultimate bad news. Cosmic vacuum cleaners.
The end of physics. Death.
Right. If you get too close, you're spaghetti.
But in this philosophy, they flip the script. They describe a black hole as the place where the goddess withdraws into herself.
So it's an inhale.
Exactly, a cosmic inhalation.
Mhm.
If the sun is the exhale, pushing out light and energy, the black hole is the inhale, pulling it all back in.
To recharge.
It reframes a destructive force as a necessary part of a respiratory cycle. You can't have an exhale without an inhale.
That's such a cool shift. It makes the universe feel less like a chaotic explosion and more like a lung.
And that brings us to the physics of feeling.
Yeah.
Because if the universe operates on this expansion-contraction rhythm, then our emotions aren't just random brain chemistry.
They're us participating in that same physics.
Yes.
This was the section I think has the most practical value, because we treat emotions like problems to be solved. I'm sad, how do I fix it?
We pathologize them. But if the divine is a heart, then the divine must beat. And a heart has to expand and contract. You can't have one without the other.
So let's look at grief. In this framework, grief is what?
A contraction of the heart. A squeeze. And the text is very clear. It's not a punishment. It's not a sign you're broken. It's a sacred rhythm of loss and renewal.
The image of a squeeze makes so much sense. Grief feels like a physical tightening in your chest. It hurts.
It does, and this philosophy just says, let it squeeze. That pressure is what moves everything forward. If you resist the grief, you stop the flow. You stop the beat.
And then joy is the opposite.
Joy is expansion. The feeling of merging into things, opening up. And desire, which is so often demonized, is just the pulse of longing, a call toward unity.
There was one line about pain that really stuck with me, though. It described pain as the touch of the heart when we resist her flow.
That is a challenging one. It's not talking about, touching a hot stove. That's just your nerves working. It's talking about suffering, existential angst.
Some friction.
Yes, exactly. If the universe is a current moving in one direction and you're trying to swim upstream,
Yeah.
that resistance creates heat, and that heat is pain.
So the answer isn't to fight the pain, but to stop swimming against the current.
Surrender. That's the word that keeps coming up. Surrender to the flow. In this view, no emotion is wrong. You're just beating. You're functioning exactly as you're supposed to.
That's actually really comforting. It takes all the moral judgment out of having a bad day. You're not a bad person for feeling down. You're just in a contraction phase.
It normalizes the low points as essential to the high points.
So I've got the biology, the nature, the emotions. But how do we actually do anything with this? If I'm not going to church, how do we communicate?
Sound. Sound is primary. The text says the drum beat is the human imitation of the pulse, the first sacred sound.
That explains why drumming is so universal, right? Every culture, thousands of years apart, figured out drumming.
Because we're trying to externalize the rhythm we feel inside us 24/7. When you hear a heavy bass drum, you feel it in your chest. You're literally synchronizing your biology with an external sound.
And ocean waves.
The same thing, the rising and falling of eternal breath.
But the highest form of worship, sound-wise, isn't a drum. It's silence.
Silence is not emptiness. That's the quote. Unpack that. Because for me, silence usually just feels awkward. Or like my wifey just went out.
Right. In our culture, we rush to fill it. But think about a heartbeat on a monitor. The beep, then the flat line, then another beep.
The gap.
The gap. The text argues that silence is the waiting pulse. It's the space between the beats. Without that space, the beat has no rhythm.
So listening to silence is like listening for the next beat.
You're in a state of anticipation. It makes meditation less about clearing your mind and more about active listening.
You're waiting for the signal.
Exactly.
Now, what about how humans connect with each other? If everything is the heart, then connecting with someone isn't just social, it's
theological. It's a collision of universes. The text says, since the mother heart is unity, every form of joining is a holy act.
just holding hands.
Is the heart passing between bodies? You're completing a circuit. The pulse in your hand meets the pulse in theirs.
Missing.
The meeting of life breaths, sharing the very air that keeps you alive. And they definitely don't shy away from sex.
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting some prudishness here, but no.
Not at all. In fact, it's the pinnacle. Lovemaking is described as the closest mortal experience to the original act of creation. Two pulses, two rhythms, merging into one.
The ultimate act of expansion.
It's central to the theology because it breaks down the barrier between me and you.
This whole philosophy seems to be the opposite of asceticism. It wants you to feel everything.
It's a religion of immersion, not escape.
Which brings us to the rituals, or the anti-ritual approach.
Yeah.
Because the list of practices is distinct.
It's anti-ritual because there's no formal liturgy, no script. But there are practices, yes. Devotion is expressed through natural acts.
For example, lying on the ground.
Just lying, there, face down, on your back.
If I see an adult lying on the ground, I'm probably calling an ambulance.
Right. But the purpose is to feel the pulse through the earth. It's about alignment. Aligning your small heartbeat with the big heartbeat. It's grounding, literally.
And walking barefoot.
It's all about removing barriers. Shoes are a barrier. Rubber soles insulate us. This is about reconnection.
And crying openly is listed as a practice. The most honest prayer.
Think about how much energy we spend trying not to cry. We apologize for it. Sorry, I'm getting emotional.
Why are you apologizing for praying?
Exactly. Let it flow. The philosophy suggests that blocking your tears is blocking God.
And singing without words, raw sound.
Because words can lie. I can say I'm fine when I'm not. But a hum, a wail, you can't lie in a wail. It's pure vibration.
It's really about removing the filter of the thinking brain, isn't it? Stop thinking, start feeling.
It is. And that applies to time, too. The section on prophecy isn't about predicting the future. It's about cycles.
The expansion and contraction again.
Yes. The universe itself follows the pattern. There are eras where she breathes outward, creating life, connection, renaissance, and then
The inhale.
the inhale. Eras where she breathes inward, drawing souls back, contraction. Things get tighter, more difficult.
But the key is that the contraction isn't the end.
Never. It's just the other half of the beat. It suggests history isn't a straight line towards progress or doom. It's a rhythm. All rises, all falls, all rises again.
Which brings us to the inevitable conclusion. Death. What happens when the pulse stops?
This was the most comforting part for me. There is a complete absence of fear-mongering.
No hell, no judgment.
No hell, no judgment, no tribunal playing back a video of your mistakes.
So what happens?
You return to the eternal rhythm. The text describes two paths, but neither is bad. It's just physics.
Keep on.
Dissolution. The soul dissolves completely into the pulse, becoming pure energy, like a drop of water returning to the ocean. You lose the I, but you gain the all.
MPF2.
The soul remains intact, carried in the currents of her love, like a specific wave that keeps rolling through the ocean, a distinct rhythm within the greater song.
I highlighted this quote. No one is lost, nothing is wasted. Every soul is just a breath in her eternal exhale.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It reframes death not as an end, but as a release. You aren't disappearing, you're just being exhaled back into the source.
It takes the pressure off. You don't have to earn a good afterlife.
No salvation needed. That's the final truth they leave you with. There is no salvation needed, only the surrender to her beat. You can't actually be lost. You're already home.
It's a philosophy of radical simplicity. Everything is the heart, and the heart is everything.
It shifts the focus of spirituality from out there to in here. You don't need a priest. You have a pulse, and that's enough.
So here's what we want to leave you with. The source material ends with a very short, very powerful instruction.
Be still. Feel her. She has never left.
It's a reminder you don't need to go on a pilgrimage or buy a book. You don't even need to subscribe to a newsletter.
It's accessible right now. It's literally keeping you alive as you listen to this.
So before you rush off to your next things,
Yeah.
just take 5 seconds. Seriously. Put your hand on your chest
Yeah.
or your wrist. Feel that thump, thump.
Feel the rhythm.
That's not just biology. According to this deep dive,
Mm.
that's God. And it's beating right there inside your ribs.
A living pulse.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Take care of that heart. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.